Hello everyone, I'm Chris Mazzillo, Sarsaparilla, and this is a review of a game called Pokemon Black 2. Now, I love Pokemon, whether you gathered this from behind me with the Pokemon, maybe the Pokemon on the wall, perhaps it's the fact that I own Pokemon Soul Silver, Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Black, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Fire Red, Pokemon Ruby, Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Rumble, Pimble, Rumble Pack, Pimble, Rumble. Anyway, I love Pokemon. Possibly to an unhealthy amount. But it's never going to achieve anything in my life. But here we go anyway. Now, just as a warning, this is going to be pretty much like a video essay, so to speak, on Pokemon Black and Pokemon Black 2. Because I couldn't capture any footage, so I just had to have, you know, like Pikachu rolling around or something, or Pokemon is a pretty fun game. Whether you're playing it in the corner in the dark, or on the toilet. It's fun for all the family. Now Pokemon Black, it was a new generation just waiting to happen. The original game didn't have any of the previous generation of Pokemon appear in it until much later on, if at all. Now, some people found this very annoying, but I can sort of see the logic, seeing as, well, you know, Pokemon's pretty old now. People of my age, if not older, who are there for the original games, much too old now to be playing Pokemon, you'd think. So I can understand why they thought, let's just make it, like reboot Pokemon, let's go! And this is obvious with, like, Roggenrola being essentially Geodude and that whole family, or maybe the other one being Machoke and that lot. It's pretty obvious. Now, some people criticise the game for having really unoriginal Pokemon names, like Duckett, who's essentially a water bird, little duck thing, and saying, oh, that's not very original, it's just a duck, they called it Duckett, whoa! Now, some people didn't like the new generation of Pokemon, saying that the names are just so unoriginal these days. I mean, like, Duckett, that's just a duck. The original 150 were the only good Pokemon. Jeez. But here's what I have to say about that. Remember in the original 150, the Pokemon Seal? Do you know what that was based off of? Oh yeah, that's right, a seal. You know, really amazing. And maybe like Dugong, and based off of a Dugong. Poorly, because they don't even look alike. It's madness that people can complain about the names in the later games, ignoring some of the horribly unoriginal names. Although one problem I do have with this newest generation of Pokemon is the lack of originality. Now it's seeming a bit too formulaic. You always have your three pretty strong dragon Pokemon towards the end. You start with a fire, grass and water all the time, which I can be okay with if they maybe varied it a bit and not just have fire fighting in all the games now. It's what I want, I don't know, maybe like a fire steel, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe like a water fighting at the start. Instead of like, the most adventurous we've got is like a water steel once, and grass all the time. I wouldn't mind slightly, you know, variation, or if they want to go crazy, maybe like have dark fighting and psychic. Because those, you know, work in the same sort of triangle premises. But, you know, there was hope, but it didn't happen. But it just seems too formulaic now for me, because basically you start off, there's your Rattata Pokemon, you know, you've got your few normal Pokemon which are awful, so you don't want to ever catch them, you've got your Pidgey, which you're never going to use, but it's useful later on for flying, and, you know, it just kind of cycles on like that. Then you can go into a forest, a bug forest, obviously, and, you know, why not go into like an ice cave to start with? I just like some variation between the games, that'd be great. Anyway, on to Pokemon Black 2. Now, although it didn't really help with those aspects of the game, it did slightly spice things up a bit. I mean, instead of starting in the same town as you did in Pokemon Black, you end up starting in a completely different area, which you've never explored before, which is pretty, you know, pretty interesting. And now, for those people who love the original 150 and previous generations, they're all in the game now as well, to really mess up everything. I do have a problem though. I mean, the later Pokemon games have been getting more and more, like, plot focused, like Pokemon Blue. what plot was there in this? Nothing really. It was just, you know, you go out, fight a gym leader, beat the Elite Four, done. Maybe beat up Team Rocket once or twice. And then as they go further on, the Team Rocket, Plasma, Magma, Aqua, Galactic, all of those have been having a bigger and bigger role in the games. Problem with Pokemon Black 2 is you beat Pokemon Team Plasma in the previous game, Pokemon Black or White. So, you know, they're pretty much done and dusted, but they're still around. This time, instead of going, you know, like, their goal to be freeing Pokemon from slavery, which seemed like a pretty just cause in the first game, they're just beating up Pokemon now, you know, classic Team Rocket style. So they've just had, like, from one end of the spectrum to the other, which is a bit disjointing. Also, there's, like, no mention of your character from Pokemon Black and White, the first game, until, like, halfway through the game. And it's even then, I'm into, like, the 5th or 6th gym, and they've only mentioned me vaguely once, being like, if only your friend were here, they were pretty strong. And, like, one other time. But, you know, to say that you were the hero who saved the Unova region in the last game, being what, like, you've managed to stop Team Plasma and stop this big dragon Pokemon from destroying the world, and another dragon Pokemon going, you're the hero, here we go. You know, it annoys me that you didn't seem to exist, is all. One other problem I had with this game is the fact that as a Pokemon collector, and you gotta catch them all, the fact that they changed the legendary Pokemon around, but none of the other Pokemon. So basically, if you got Pokemon Black, to get the legendary from Pokemon White, you have to get Pokemon Black 2. But all the other Pokemon that are exclusive to White are still in White 2 and vice versa. So you can either choose to get White 2 and get all the other Pokemon you missed, but not the legendary, or get Pokemon Black 2 and just miss all the other Pokemon. I know it's meant to be a game where you trade with your friends, but I don't have any friends, okay? This just annoyed me a teeny bit. Why not just, you know, keep it the same? And then I would have been able to buy White 2 and explore the different areas again, or like instead of having to buy both games, which I'm not going to do because I'm poor. They introduced a lot of new things to this game, being like the Pokemon Studios, which is basically a scripted fight which you'd have to be a moron not to work out how to do, since they tell you every single step. Basically do this, do that, do this. And it's like, they introduced medals, which are essentially just achievements, which normally require, like, get on and off your bike 300 times, take 10 billion million steps. And it's like, come on. But I just found this game's not challenging. Like, you get so many potions, you get quite a few Pokeballs, and it just never really seems that challenging. And at the moment, there's no even clear bad guy. I mean, there's this scientist who's obviously going to be the bad guy, but at the moment he's just researching Pokemon and trying to see how to bring out their full potential. That doesn't seem bad. That doesn't seem evil. There are plenty of things to do in this game, though. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of competitions, lots of side quests. Most of these tend to open up once you've beaten the Elite Four, or at least about to beat the Elite Four, but there's still plenty to do. I mean, I've put like 20 hours into this, and I've only just beaten Skylar, who's a gym leader of some form. Ish. So, to finalise, I don't think Pokemon Black 2 or White 2, I can assume, is bad. I just feel we need something fresh in the Pokemon series. New combinations of types. Something, you know, to get your groove going. I mean, I'm still going to play it. I mean, it's Pokemon. How bad can it be? But it's beginning to get too formulaic, a bit stale. It could just do with, I don't know, something. Hey, and thanks for watching my like. If you want, you can video my like, and I'll be pretty happy if you would do that. There's also 2 more likes on the screen, which you could video. I'm lost. Where am I? What's happening? There's also, if you want, you can check out my Twitter for constant updates in my life, as well as my other channel, which has more than just vlogs now. I should change that.